Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. In the last part we got here to the Poison Moth's lair, and now we're going to continue on. Now these shield beetles here can only be knocked out, well I think they're just called shell beetles or spike beetles, one of the two. Can only be defeated if you flip them over. Now the main way to do this is with your shield, however if you time it just right, you can do it with the shovel. That's why I said I recommend you get a shield before this dungeon if you haven't already. Thankfully, you only run into them in 2 dungeons. I know later on in the game the shield is required, but it's not by this point. And now we have this room. This room has a total of 4 floor masters that spawn in here, so you're gonna want to be careful. Because, getting sent back to the beginning of the dungeon, even if it's like 3 rooms away, is never fun. It's more tedious, really, actually. I think the only game I don't mind that happening at all, really, is probably Ocarina of Time, because honestly they never really affect me that badly. Anyway, we got mimics here. What they do is that they mirror your movement. If you go up, if you go up, they'll go down, and vice versa, all the way through all 8 cardinal directions. Now what we have to do here is actually really simple. You just have to get to that treasure chest. Just make sure you don't get crushed by the rollers, because then you'll have to do this entire room over again. And that's never fun. And for doing that, we get a small key. Nothing too bad, but nothing too good either. Now, if you press that button there, the floor next to it will fall, so we can't do anything with that yet. Instead, we have to head into here with Paul's voices, who, now that I have a flute, go down, oh so satisfyingly. Blew into that flute so badly, they blew up. This is a pretty basic room. Just kill the mini Moldorms, and a chest will appear, which contains 10 bombs. Gee, I wonder if I have to use them where that circle of different looking platforms is. Who knew? And for doing that, we get the dungeon map, which looks like a moth, if I recall correctly. Yep. A moth and what looks to be a wing, maybe? I'm not sure, actually. I always get stumped here for like 3 seconds, because I always forget, oh right, I can't push that one, I just have to push these 2. That happens far too often. Anyway, now we got this puzzle, which I hated as a kid. Pretty much we have to match the bottom row with the top one. What you do is push those 2 gray ones down, these 2 red ones down, that are that one and the one I'm about to push down now. Push the red one on the far left, one to the left, and then push the gray into the slot it's above. This always takes me, like, 20 seconds, mostly because I'm just being an idiot. It's weird, because I know this is a more action-oriented game, the puzzles always take me longer than they honestly should, whereas when I'm playing Seasons, or Ages rather, I usually do it really, really quickly. Just get away from those anti-fairies, but like in Ages you can kill the anti-fairies with the boomerang, though yet again, like in Ages, you can't get anything for doing so. You're gonna want to fall down here if you're going for chest completion, because there's a chest you can only get by coming down here. Mind you, it's not a really necessary one, because it's not something like a key or something, it's just rupees. Which I already have 523 of at that point anyway. Anyway, you go up here and you come up to the somewhat mini-boss, which is 4 more mimics, who take me a while to kill, so I just kill them all off screen. And for doing that, we get the Rock's Feather again. Which, notable, whoa, what the heck happened there? This time it has a level 1 next to it, which means we might be getting an upgrade to this later on. So now Link can jump over 1 to 2 tile spaces, although you have to time it just right to get the level 2s. Level 2 spots. And we got a basic platforming section here, honestly. Why can't I get that heart? Notable. I think I may have mentioned how I was taking a bit more damage than I thought I should be last part, specifically against those red worm enemies. I forget if I mentioned that or not. That may have just been me talking to myself when I was actually recording the footage. But once you know it, it's because I didn't have the blue ring equipped, I just had it in my inventory. I'm a genius, aren't I? Anyway, jump on that trampoline to come up here and get a compass, or the compass rather. And by the time you get it, it's honestly not that useful because there's only 3 chests left. One of which is only a couple of seconds away, honestly. Oh well. And coming over here, we find one of these puzzles again. It's not that bad at all, honestly. Nothing in this place is... Nothing in here is really... Well, not entirely nothing, but... It's early game, technically, still. And there's just not really much to worry about. Though I admittedly hated this puzzle as a kid. What we have to do is get this trampoline over to that orange block on the side. How we do so is actually rather simple. You just follow this basic push pattern. But it took me forever to realize that as a kid. Then again, as I've noted multiple times by now, I sucked at games as a child. Even then, there are some that I'm still gonna with. I'm looking at you, pretty much any first-person shooter ever, actually. Anyway, now we get a small key. Nothing that bad, honestly. Or good. But, they're necessary. Now, with this room right here, it's really funny, is back during the second dungeon in Ages, I mentioned how I remember jumping on top of a thwomp and having to go somewhere. That's because I was thinking of this dungeon. Anyway, we're back in this room now, right towards the beginning of the dungeon, so what I'm going to do is cut back to here. You jump over that button, and then you can make it over to this part of the dungeon, actually. And now we can go over this. This is entirely optional, by the way. And for coming over here, we get a Gasha Seed, which is good, I suppose. Mind you, that's the one random heart piece I haven't gotten yet, so yeah. That's not gonna be fun to grind for. Anyway, in here we get the mini-boss, which is Calamari. Note that's Calamari with a Y-E, not an I. This boss is really repetitive, so I'm actually gonna be skipping past killing 2 of them. What you have to do is that when they pop up, you need to use the power bracelet to lift them up, and then slash at them. They take 4 wooden sword hits to kill. They bounce around 2 or 3 times, and they bounce back into the water. It's not a hard mini-boss at all, honestly. Especially if you have the blue ring on, where they only do 1/4 of the heart of damage. But it can be time-consuming. Hence why I'm skipping to killing the 3rd one after I kill the 1st one. Because, honestly, it's just second verse same as the first. The mini-boss. And now we're actually down here. We were actually in the, what's it called? Thing above us, pathway above us earlier. And we're actually right near the boss, but we need the boss key first, so yeah. Luckily, it's not that far away. Just fall down here, and it's actually in that chest right there. We just need to push the right block down. I was actually wandering around for about 30 seconds trying to remember which block do I push. And now we got the boss key. Now you might be thinking, we have to walk all the way back around to get to the boss door again. Nope. You might recall how throughout the entire series, those little red warps the mini-boss spawns after you kill it, they sent you back to the mini-boss room. So now I essentially just cut the backtracking down by 1.5 minutes. That's one thing I actually really like about dungeons like this. They can be kind of puzzling, but at the same time, they're really small in structure size. Unlike Eagle Tower from Link's Awakening. Ugh. Hate that place. Anyway, time for the boss of this place. If I get this P-hat out of the way. Meet Mothula! Very basic boss. He likes to... he or she likes to circle around the entire place, shooting fireballs at you, but they spawn 2 little miniature versions of itself first. And then it likes to go back in the middle, try to do an attack. If you fall down the pit, you'll be sent to a room below us, and you'll jump back up here on that trampoline right there, actually, but its health will respawn to max. Anyway, we got the bright sun, an essence of nature. Young shoots grow quickly under the warm rays of the bright sun. Fun fact, by the way, Mothula's name, I swear, is a reference to Godzilla, because Mothra's name in Japan is Mothura. Or something along those lines. I don't know how to pronounce Japanese, obviously, because American. Hello, Maker Tree. You're on time as usual, I see. Thank you, Link. I too feel the bright sun. But the powers of darkness do not weaken. Instead, they grow stronger. How can this be? Link, I jumped to the waterfall on the mountain north of Sunken City. Perhaps the next essence is near there. Great. We're heading to a water dungeon, if you can't tell. But first, there's some small side stuff I want to do for the next 3 minutes. First off, back at the Floodgate Keeper's house, there's a new NPC here. This is the mother of Mamamoo Yan from Lena City. And she has a secret to tell her. So let's write that down right there. And when we head back to Ages, I will give that to her. Which will be in about a part and a half. Or actually, no, next part. That Kasha tree there that I planted, I got a potion from, which refills my health upon death. This one I planted, also last part, gets me a ring. And now, back on this screen, towards where we started the game, we can jump over that now that we have the Rock's Feather, and come over to this section. This will actually be really important later on, because I think this is where level 5 is, I want to say? Or we're at least near it. But we can actually use that stump to change it to summer here, and you might notice that really odd-looking placed rock there. Since we have the power bracelet, we can lift that. So, let's check out what's in there. And we just got a basic little mini-dungeon. That's 3 rooms large. But for going through the small little place, by the way, arrows there, watch out, you get heart piece number 6. We're already halfway through with them. 6 parts in. That's like 1 per part. Anyway, back at Bippin and Blossom's house, Cecil's grown up all the way. He's become an arborist like his father. There are multiple routes he can take depending on what you told him throughout his life. I wanted to make him a warrior, but I accidentally made him an arborist by telling his mother that he was hyperactive. But that was I would have redone it, but that's also the session I got the maple heart piece in, so I decided just to stick with it. Not many new rings here, but we got 2 new ones, I want to say, which are the Zora ring, which allows you to dive without breathing. The maple ring, which will increase the chances of meeting with her. I think it raises it to 15 enemies killed instead of 30, but since I already have her heart piece, that's pretty useless, honestly. And we also got the quicksand ring, which doesn't make you sink in quicksand. Next up, back in the Song of Storms place, there is a new NPC up top with the phonograph man that we want to talk to. For, well, obvious reasons, I would hope. This guy is a pupil of Troy's, who is Lena City's biologist. Either way, we need to take a secret up to Troy and Rolling Ridge. Write that down, and when we head to Ages sometime next part, we'll do that. Next up, we're back towards Hero's Cave, because next time on Let's Play Legend of Zelda Oracle Seasons, we'll be progressing a bit of the way through Hero's Cave, trying to get a secret that's in here in the process. See you guys then.